All right, my friends, welcome back to the broadcast. Major story today. U.S. Army putting out a major alert for, retired veterans, retired military personnel. Call it what you will. I'm going to go through that alert, but first we got to cover what may be leading up to it. You see here, Macron tells party leaders France's support to Ukraine has no limits. States that Ukraine's allies should not rule out sending troops. That was on Le Monde. Of course, Newsweek fact checks that. Comes out and says it's absolutely false. The French president has made no public commitments towards this. But then only about a week later, Newsweek themselves comes out. Ukraine map shows French troop locations in potential intervention, stating the commander of the French ground forces said his troops were ready for any deployment, suggesting that 20,000 soldiers could be prepped within 30 days. Well, so much for that fact check, huh? But that's how the mainstream media works. They say one thing, they do another. Hard to keep up with the web of lies and agenda. You could provide references and resources like we do, but then people might be able to check for themselves. But let's go further. Towards this Army bulletin just came out. Russian intelligence says France preparing to deploy 2,000 troops to Ukraine. This on March 20th. Putin's been very resolute that what happens if troops threaten his sovereignty, right? He's even going as far as to state the French troops or death of French civilians have already occurred in Ukraine. But France won't report on it. They fear the protests like they don't have enough already. Putin warns again that Russia is ready to use nuclear weapons if its sovereignty is threatened. And then just a few days later, this alert, A-L-A-R-A-C-T, Alaract, record details, coming out this month. And what is the subject of this alert? Utilization of the Army Retiree Recall Program. My friends, what are we now staring in the face of? Holy, is the right word to put it. There ain't no other way to put it. You have to watch these little maneuvers, and if you're in the military, I welcome your commentary here because you're the most important voices. We research, we reference, we show people what's happening. That's the story. We're going to go into greater detail, and I'm going to read this bulletin for you. I'm going to tell you what it could possibly mean in just a couple seconds. So before we trip into this story, I need a favor from you. I need you to subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, welcome home. If you think you're subscribed, you've been here for a long time, double check, make sure you still are. Make sure your bell is checked to all so you're alerted to all upcoming broadcasts. Or you can simply go to restrictedrepublic.com where we put anywhere we air. No commercials, no interruptions, no interference, nobody beholden to no one but us and you, our audience. It's why we created Restricted Republic. When you come into tumultuous times like we're looking at, there will be only certain sources where you can get the real news, the stories that aren't allowed anywhere else, the stories that don't appear anywhere else. And there's a reason for that. It's why we created the platform through our own blood, sweat, and tears. And your means of supporting me is to go there today. Use discount code RR39. $39 a year for each year for 3 years plus 14 days for free. That is a monster deal. RR39 annual checkout, $39 a year for 3 years plus 14 days for free. I want you there today. Lisa wants you there today. There is exclusive content that I promise will make your visit worth it immediately. That is restrictedrepublic.com. Get there right now. Okay, let's move right into this bulletin. All Army Activities Bulletin. Right up on the top, utilization of the Army Retiree Recall Program. Diving deeper, Executive Order 13223, ordering the ready reserve of the Armed Forces to active duty and delegating certain authorities to the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Transportation. It moves on. I'm going to tell you, too, it declares that this is for peacetime activities. I'll use your interpretation of that. There's a few ways to look at that. Management of regular and reserved retired military members. Management and recall to active duty of retired soldiers of the Army in support of mobilization and peacetime operations. Does that mean that they fill post here, which could be considered peacetime, so the remainder of the Army can be restationed elsewhere? We don't know the specifics yet, of course not. Just a bulletin, right? Look forward to the opinion of all those of you that are either serving or have served in the armed forces. God bless each and every one of you for doing that. Purpose: to improve soldier management, optimize retirement planning, and retain talent for required authorized regular Army vacancies by providing instructions on where and how to find retiree recall positions and how to apply for positions. Key and critical position vacancies. The retiree recall program can be an effective tool to fill personnel shortages, which we know the U.S. military is facing based on their own woke agenda and policies. But I digress. I'm going to move forward here. Down deeper, just so you know, this is the same document. Going to move down. This has been published prior, but it remains in the current bulletin. Directorate of Military Personnel Management, Retiree Recall Primer, Deputy Chief of State G1. What is the retiree recall? A recalled retiree is a retired soldier who is ordered to active duty from the retired reserve or the retired list under 10 U.S.C. Section 688, 688A, 12301A, and 12301D, and serves in his or her retired status. Retiree recall is not an extension of your MRD. Who can approve a retiree recall? The Assistant Secretary of the Army and Manpower and Reserve Affairs is the authorizing approver to recall retired soldiers, and now they put a bulletin out. I'm just reminding people that it exists. The LRX message has been transmitted by JSP on behalf of, well, we don't know quite yet, do we? We don't know the full extent of who is pulling the strings here, do we? We just know the bulletin's out. We know who's eligible. We know some of the prerequisites. I'll leave a link not only in the description box below, no matter what channel you're viewing this on, so you can read this if you're retired military personnel coming out of the Army. I'm sure you're very interested to read the full details. How long is a recall? Retired soldiers voluntarily ordered to active duty, in support of peacetime operations will normally remain on active duty for 1 to 2 years. Retired aviation officers are generally recalled for a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 3 years. You can't be promoted. You may be able to be released early for poor performance, lack of operational requirements, personal hardship, or other reasons deemed appropriate. And can your security clearance be reinstated? Everyone is required to pass a new national agency check with local agency checks. But again, we can go through the details till we're blue in the face. The bigger issue here is why? Why now is this coming out? Macron stirring the pots, NATO saber rattling, Putin threatening. We've done this before, by the way. Last time we did it was on July 15th of 2023. Appears Biden uses this as a pretty common tool. Where do you report? What are your entitlements? 120 days. Force requester to the soldier, to the HRC, and the entire flow chart of putting retirees back into active duty. What do they know that we don't? What are they preparing for? That is the question now, isn't it? Now we can make our assumptions. It's fairly easy to see what's happening. We know we're down in numbers. We know we're not recruiting enough. And now with a looming conflict, the growing potential of a looming conflict in multiple battlefronts, it appears to me at least the Army is taking measures to prepare. I know so many active duty and retired military members watch this channel. It is my duty to bring this to you ASAP so you can, again, click on the link below, read it deeper, ask your questions. We love each and every one of you who have served this United States of America, this great republic, those who have given their blood, sweat, tears, and many their lives. That never goes unnoticed, ever goes unthanked. Without you, we don't exist. Please, dig deeper. Get in the comments. Make sure you comment on the video. What is your thoughts? Why now? I told you what my thoughts are. Too much is brewing up. We're way too low on numbers. And this is a great way to stabilize those peacetime areas, while other areas may no longer be in peacetime. But I look forward to your opinions. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.